on the news today, you might hear a very specific narrative. They will tell you that crime is down. They will show you charts from the FBI saying that violence is trending downward from the pandemic highs. They will tell you that everything is returning to normal. But let me ask you a question. Does it feel normal when you go to the grocery store? Does it feel normal when you open your home insurance renewal letter? Does it feel normal when you see toothpaste locked behind plexiglass at your local pharmacy? There is a massive disconnect right now between the official spreadsheets and the reality on the American streets. Because while the national averages might be smoothing out, there are pockets of this country that are spiraling. We are witnessing a perfect storm in 2025. It is not just about bad guys doing bad things. It is about an affordability crisis that has pushed people to the brink. It is about a housing market that has turned shelter into a luxury. And it is about policy failures that have left entire communities without a safety net. Today, according to Briggs, we are not just going to list the top 10 states where crime is rising. We are going to do something the mainstream media rarely does. We are going to ask why. We are going to look at the economic engines that have stalled. We are going to look at the social contracts that have broken. And we are going to explain why your wallet is in just as much danger as your physical safety in these 10 states. Strap in. This is not just a crime report. This is an autopsy of the American dream in 10 specific locations. Let's get to work. Number 10. Tennessee. Tennessee has always been the state that tries really hard to pretend everything is fine. It projects an image of beautiful Smoky Mountains and whiskey-soaked Southern charm. But beneath the neon lights of Broadway and Nashville, there is a much darker reality brewing. Between 2020 and 2025, Tennessee's overall crime rate jumped 19.3%. But here is the nuance that the numbers don't show you. This is a tale of two Tennessees. On one hand, you have Memphis. Memphis continues to lead the nation in statistics that nobody wants to lead. It is a city where generational poverty has met a flood of illegal firearms. But the real story, the root cause of this statewide spike, is actually happening in the boomtowns like Nashville. Nashville has become a playground for bachelor parties and tourists. But the cost of living there has exploded. When you have a service economy that relies on low-wage workers, but those workers can no longer afford to live in the city they serve, you create a pressure cooker. We are seeing displacement. We are seeing desperation. And desperation is the mother of property crime. In Tennessee, it's not just the urban centers anymore. Small rural towns are seeing a serious jump in crime, specifically fueled by the addiction crisis. The opioid epidemic didn't go away. It just evolved. So, when you look at Tennessee, don't just see violent people. See an economy that grew too fast for its own good, leaving its working class behind in the dust. Number 9. Louisiana. Louisiana has been dealing with crime for decades, but the recent rate increase of 23.7% is alarming even by their standards. The state's big cities, New Orleans, Baton Rouge, Shreveport, have always had a tough reputation. But what is happening now is a structural economic failure. Louisiana's economy is stuck. While other southern states have diversified into tech or finance, Louisiana relies heavily on energy and tourism. These are volatile industries. When jobs evaporate faster than crawfish at a boil, crime tends to rise. It is simple math. If a young man in New Orleans cannot find a legitimate path to a living wage, the illegitimate paths start looking a lot more attractive. Add to this a criminal justice system that is famously broken. Louisiana has one of the highest incarceration rates in the world, yet it fails to rehabilitate anyone. It is a revolving door. People go in, they learn to be better criminals, and they come out with zero job prospects. What do we expect them to do? The root cause here is stagnation. It is a state that is rich in culture, but bankrupt in opportunity. Until Louisiana fixes its economic foundation, this crime wave is not going anywhere. Number 8. Arizona. Arizona is the land of heat, cacti, and lately, a crime rate that is climbing as fast as the summer temperature. The overall crime rate has risen 24.1% since 2020. Phoenix used to be the place retirees went to golf and live out their golden years cheaply. Key word, cheaply. That Arizona is dead and gone. The root cause of Arizona's crime spike is the housing affordability shock. During the pandemic, everyone from California moved to Arizona. Rents spiked 30, 40, even 50% in some areas. Suddenly, thousands of people who were barely hanging on were pushed onto the streets. Drive around Phoenix now. The parks that used to be for kids are now encampments. And where there is mass homelessness, there is inevitably a spike in property crime, theft, and drug use. It is not that these people are inherently evil. It is that the social fabric tore apart when the rent check bounced. Violent crime, especially aggravated assault, is also up. Why? Because heat makes people aggressive, and financial stress makes people snap. Arizona is a classic case of growing pains. The infrastructure, social services, police, mental health support did not grow as fast as the population. Now, the state is paying the price for that lack of planning. Number 7. Alabama. Alabama has watched its crime numbers climb 24.5% since 2020. This isn't just about Birmingham, although Birmingham's stats are tragic. The real story in Alabama is rural neglect. We often focus on big cities, but in Alabama, the crime is bleeding into the countryside. Why? Because rural police departments are essentially bankrupt. There are counties in Alabama where the sheriff has 1 or 2 deputies to patrol an area the size of a small European country. Criminals know this. They know response times can be 45 minutes or more. This creates a vacuum of law and order. Add to this the economic pressure. Alabama remains one of the poorest states in the Union. When inflation hit in 2023 and 2024, it didn't just annoy people in Alabama, it crushed them. Groceries became a luxury item for many families. Theft, burglary, and property crimes are direct symptoms of this poverty. It is a state with tremendous community spirit, but spirit cannot pay the electric bill. Number 6. New Mexico. New Mexico has seen a 26.2% jump in crime. If you watch the news, you might think this is all about the border. But talk to the locals in Albuquerque, and they will tell you a different story. They will tell you about the revolving door of justice. The root cause here is a policy failure known as catch and release. Law enforcement officers arrest the same individuals over and over again for property crimes and theft. Due to bail reform measures and an overwhelmed court system, these offenders are often back on the street within hours. This destroys the morale of the police force. Why arrest someone if they are going to beat you back to the patrol car? It also emboldens criminals. If there are no consequences, why stop? Albuquerque has become a hotspot for auto theft and retail crime because the risk-to-reward ratio is heavily skewed in favor of the criminal. Combine this with deep-seated generational poverty and a lack of mental health resources, and you have a recipe for chaos. New Mexico is beautiful, but its legal infrastructure is collapsing under the weight of good intentions gone wrong. I want to pause here for a second. We are halfway through the list. Have you noticed a pattern yet? In almost every state we've discussed, we see the same 2 things: skyrocketing housing costs and a police force that is either underfunded or handcuffed by policy. So I have a question for you. Based on what you see in your own community, what do you think is the bigger driver of crime right now? Is it the broken economy, or is it broken policies? Let me know in the comments below. I really want to read your take on this. Let's get back to the countdown. Number 5. Florida. Florida, the Sunshine State. It has been the #1 destination for movers in America for years, but popularity comes at a price. Florida's overall crime rate is up 27.6%. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. Wait, didn't the governor say crime is at a 50-year low? This is where we have to become forensic accountants. There is a difference between reported arrests and actual crime. The root cause of Florida's instability is the affordability crisis. Florida has the highest inflation rate in the country, driven largely by insurance and housing costs. When rent takes 70% of a paycheck, communities destabilize. We are seeing a massive spike in shadow crimes, fraud, scams, construction ripoffs, insurance fraud. These crimes often don't make the violent crime headlines, but they are destroying lives just the same. Miami has become the fraud capital of America. And let's not forget the transient nature of the population. When half your neighbors are new, there is no community cohesion. There is no neighborhood watch because nobody knows who their neighbor is. Florida is selling a paradise that fewer and fewer of its own residents can afford. Number 4. Colorado. Colorado used to be the golden child of the West. Safe, healthy, outdoorsy. Now, crime is up 31.1%. What happened? 2 words: unintended consequences. Colorado was at the forefront of progressive drug policies and criminal justice reform. While the intention was to reduce incarceration, the result has been a degradation of public order. Denver has seen a massive rise in property crime and auto theft. For a while, Colorado was the #1 state in the nation for having your car stolen. But the deeper economic root cause is, again, gentrification. Tech money flooded into Denver and Boulder. It pushed the working class out to the fringes. It created a visible class divide that breeds resentment and crime. You have billionaires building bunkers in Aspen while teachers can't afford rent in Aurora. That gap is where crime thrives. Colorado is learning the hard way that you cannot have a functioning society without basic law and order, no matter how beautiful your mountains are. Number 3. Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania has seen a 31.3% jump. This is the tragedy of the Rust Belt. Philadelphia and Pittsburgh are the headlines, but the rot goes deeper. The root cause here is the opioid aftershock, combined with deindustrialization. In many small Pennsylvania towns, the factories left decades ago. Nothing replaced them. Despair replaced them. Fentanyl replaced them. When you have entire communities with no economic future, drugs take over. And the drug trade is inherently violent. In Philadelphia, we are seeing a breakdown of social norms. Retail theft rings are operating in broad daylight. Carjackings have become a sport for teenagers. This isn't just crime, it's a cultural nihilism. It's a feeling among the youth that there is no future. So why follow the rules? The state's mix of urban struggles and rural poverty creates a perfect storm where crime spikes and political gridlock in Harrisburg prevents any real solution. Number 2. Missouri. Missouri saw a 33.5% increase in overall crime. Street Louis and Kansas City have been fixtures on most dangerous lists for years. But why is it getting worse? The root cause in Missouri is political warfare. You have a deep, bitter divide between the state government and the local city governments. Street Louis police have been caught in the middle of battles over local control versus state control. While politicians argue over jurisdiction, the streets are left vulnerable. Resources are mismanaged. Police departments are critically understaffed because nobody wants to be a cop in a political war zone. Add to this the proliferation of firearms. Missouri has some of the loosest gun laws in the nation, and while law-abiding citizens have the right to protect themselves, criminals also have easy access to high-power weaponry. Disputes that used to end in a fistfight now end in a shootout. It is a state where the system is fighting itself, and the criminals are the only ones winning. Number 1. Alaska. And finally, number 1. Alaska. The overall crime rate in Alaska has risen 36.4%. If you thought Alaska was just moose and stunning glaciers, think again. Alaska consistently has the highest rate of violent crime per capita in the United States. Why? The root cause is unique: isolation and cost. Alaska is the most expensive place to live in the U.S. for basic goods. A gallon of milk in a rural village can cost $15. Poverty there is brutal. But the biggest factor is the psychological toll of the environment. Long, dark winters. Extreme isolation. Cabin fever is real, and it leads to massive rates of alcoholism and substance abuse. And tragically, this fuels the highest rate of domestic violence and sexual assault in the nation. Law enforcement is almost non-existent in the bush. There are villages where the nearest police officer is a plane ride away. If you call 911, help might not come for days if the weather is bad. It is a lawless frontier in the most literal sense. The crime rise in Alaska isn't about gangs or organized theft rings. It is about despair, isolation, and a lack of resources in an unforgiving environment. So, there you have it. 10 states. 10 different stories. But one common thread: this isn't just about crime. It is about the economy. It is about the fact that for millions of Americans, the social contract is breaking. When you combine inflation that makes survival difficult, with a housing market that makes ownership impossible, and a justice system that seems to have lost its teeth, you get what we are seeing today: a perfect storm of disorder. The trend for 2026 doesn't look much better. As the economy tightens, we can expect crime to shift from street violence to property crime. Your car, your home, your packages, these will become the targets. So, what do? You don't panic. You prepare. You understand that safety is no longer a guarantee. It is a responsibility. You need to know where you live, and you need to demand better from your local leaders. But maybe you are looking at this list and thinking, I need to get out. I need to find a place where sanity still prevails. If this list has you worried about your property value or your family's safety, you are not alone. Millions of Americans are voting with their feet, but where are they going? You need to watch my breakdown of these 7 safe havens, states where crime is actually dropping in 2025 next. I've analyzed the data, and there are still places in this country where the American dream is alive and well. Click the video on your screen right now to find out where they are. Stay safe, stay alert, and I'll see you in the next one.